court can send Mr. Sisodia for judicial custody. 14 days is the maximum you can get, and therefore therefore the court has granted 14 days judicial custody to Mr. Manish Sisodia. On 10th of March, the court will be hearing the bail application that has been moved by Manish Sisodia, which was earlier a point of time the Supreme Court didn't give any relief to Aam Aadmi Party and directed them to approach either the High Court or Rouse Avenue Court. So at this point of time, because of the fact that CBI has already questioned Mr. Manish Sisodia for almost a week, they have already confronted him with various witnesses. They have already confronted him with the evidence that was available.
Like they're not satisfied. It appears that they're not satisfied. CBI is not satisfied, claiming yet that they're not getting proper answers for Manish Sisodia. He could very well influence witnesses, and therefore custody is mandatory. And the court seemed to have found it quite fit to send Manish Sisodia to 14-day judicial custody. He will be lodged in Tihar Jail. What's the difference now? CBI custody to judicial custody. Shrishti, take us through exactly the process of this now. What does it mean, Manish Sisodia now to be lodged in Tihar Jail for the next 14 days as part of his judicial custody?
Well, sources, had indicated to us earlier also that Mr. Manish Sisodia was evasive and not cooperating with the investigative authorities. In fact, Manish Sisodia complained, the legal counsel of Mr. Manish Sisodia complained before the court that he was being harassed as, the officials were asking him the same question again and again. However, the CBI officials made it very clear that this is a line of questioning, and basically they want to get to the very bottom of this alleged nexus between the government officials and liquor mafia, and therefore they were merely putting things in a correct perspective. For almost a week he was there in CBI custody. You can expect that CBI would obviously be trying to reach to the very process that was used or that was implemented during the drafting of this policy, because it is being alleged that this draft the draft of the policy was shown even before it was made public to some of the liquor mafia players in order to give undue favors to them. As far as judicial custody is concerned, now Mr. Manish Sisodia will be lodged in a jail, either in a Tihar jail or a central jail, and at that point of time he will not be, if in case CBI wants to interrogate Mr. Manish Sisodia, then they would have to obtain a permission from Rouse Avenue Court, and then only they can go and interrogate Mr. Manish Sisodia. So
Rahul, stay with us. We have BJP's Sardar R.P. Singh joining us on the phone line. R.P. Singh, here we see Manish Sisodia being sent to 14-day judicial custody, will be lodged in Tihar Jail. CBI, we believe, has put forth a case claiming that Sisodia is being incooperative. He is not really responding to questions posed before him. Very likely that he could influence witnesses. And the court has found that fit. 14-day judicial custody. What does that speak of?
Well, the judicial custody is a regular procedure. Now he can move for a bail, but I seriously doubt courts will give him bail for a while. Secondly, there's a missing file which CBI is trying to find out, and Mr. Sisodia and his team is not giving the proper answer to that missing file. Once the missing file comes, a lot of revelation will happen, and a lot of skeletons will fall to the cupboard. That's the concern of the CBI. The file on which the notings are being made, that file is missing from the ministry. And then Mr. Sisodia or his secretary would be aware of where the file is.
This has, of course, come as a huge setback to the Aam Aadmi Party that really thrives on this image that they had once established of being an anti-corruption crusader. On one hand, you have his left-hand man, right-hand man, Manish Sisodia, Satyendra Jain, both of them in prison. This has come as an embarrassment, is it not, to the Aam Aadmi Party?
Well, they will have a good time. They can celebrate their Holi inside the jail, both of them. Both are are deep neck in corruption. I have to quote it like this: Mr. Kejriwal has been only taking their names, Sisodia and Sisodias Jain ko central government jail mein bhejegi. Why only these two? Not the name of Mr. Gopal Rai or Mr. Kailash Virot or any other minister, because he knew that the corruption has been done through these two. The money has been made through these two ministers. So gradually the law catches up the people who do the wrong and who are the wrong side. So it's a matter of time, and then I'm hopeful Mr. Sisodia will cooperate, and then he'll help CBI to find out that missing file.
What Manish Sisodia's counsel is presented in court as part of the argument is that it's not our problem if the CBI is not completing their investigation. They're not being effective enough. They've recovered what they had to. They've raided places associated to Manish Sisodia, and yet they're asking the same questions. It's not on us. It's on the CBI failing to investigate this case in a time-bound manner. That's what they claim in court.
CBI has their own procedure of investigation, and then if one doesn't answer probably that question in right frame, then CBI ask it in many other ways. So I mean, they keep repeating the question in many other ways to find out the right answer. And he has been confronted with the government approver who was approver in this case, and also with the official who was part of the team of Mr. Sisodia when the policy was drafted.
All right, Mr. Singh, thank you very much. I'm going to quickly cut across to some inside updates coming in. We have Manish Pandey, who's tracking the central agencies for us. Manish, you know very well, you know at least you're privy to the kind of line of questioning that was posed to Manish Sisodia while he was part of that 7-day custody. The custody of the CBI has ended. 14-day judicial custody, that's the max that's allowed, and that's the max that's been granted, and it appears he will be lodged in Tihar Jail until the 20th of March. Give us a sense on what exactly has made this case so fit for the court to quickly announce this verdict.
Yeah, well, Nabila, as far as this judicial custody is concerned, it's a process. Whenever the police custody is not asked by the agency, the court sends that person to 14 days of judicial custody. That is very procedural. But what is important here is to point out that the mention by the Central Bureau of Investigation inside the court that they are not asking for custody of Manish Sisodia because if needed in future they would like to re-arrest Manish Sisodia in the case. So as far as CBI's strategy is concerned, it is very clear. Out of 14 days of police custody, they have exhausted 7 days, and the remaining 7 days they want to use it in future, which means that even if Manish Sisodia gets bail, there will always be a possibility that CBI can go for cancellation of that bail and they can re-arrest Mr. Manish Sisodia. Now, as far as this judicial custody is concerned, remember now he'll be in Tihar Jail, which means that his Holi is going to be in Tihar Jail. The other Aam Aadmi Party former minister Satyendra Jain is already in Tihar Jail. Apart from that, ED is waiting for this. ED was waiting for this custody to get over, because we have been given to understand is that within 2-3 days, that is before 10th of March, the ED will be filing an application before the court asking for custody of Manish Sisodia, which means that after CBI custody, few days of jail, and then again Manish Sisodia will be in the custody of Enforcement Directorate. And now to get bail, because 10th of March is the date when the court will be hearing the bail application of Manish Sisodia. So even if the matter comes for comes for the bail, it comes before the court, then even if he gets bail in the CBI case, he won't get out of the jail or even out of the custody, because ED would have arrested him at that point of time. So it is going to be a long legal battle for Mr. Manish Sisodia to get out of the jail premises in this case. As far as the legal strategy of Manish Sisodia is concerned, the lawyers will be fighting the case for Mr. Manish Sisodia. But earlier what we have seen in the case of P. Chidambaram, even after too many legal battle, P. Chidambaram stayed for almost 109 days, and here the strategy of CBI and ED is going to be to make sure that Manish Sisodia stays in jail for maximum number of days, at least for few months. Nabila.
All right. Manish, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Nalini as well, who's tracking court for us. Nalini, give us an understanding. 2 days, or at least a few days from now, Friday basically, is when Manish Sisodia's bail plea will be heard. And is it likely, now that the Rouse Avenue Court has sent him to 14-day judicial custody, is it likely to have any kind of bearing on the court's decision to grant him bail? What's the likelihood?
Well, Nabila, like Manish just stated, considering the fact that ED might now be swooping in to take custody of the former Deputy Delhi Chief Minister, and keeping that in mind, that there are already proceedings under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act that are active against Manish Sisodia regarding the excise policy scam, it might be possible that even before his bail plea is taken up by the court, the enforcement directorate will come in and take Manish Sisodia into custody. Now, that is going to mean that it's going to be an uphill battle for Manish Sisodia to eventually try and get any sort of relief, because the minute that the ED steps in and the minute that Prevention of Money Laundering Act's provisions are brought into place, it's going to be very difficult for Manish Sisodia to try and get bail, because the conditions for bail under the PMLA Act are extremely strict. Manish Sisodia, just to get bail, will have to prove his innocence, because the burden of proof under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act will be on Manish Sisodia to prove his innocence to even be out on bail, which is why we're seeing many of the political leaders, especially from the opposition, that have been arrested under the PMLA Act are still behind the bars because they've not been able to get any relief from the court of law. And keeping in mind the recent judgment from the Supreme Court that had come in regarding the powers of the ED under the PMLA, it has empowered the ED to conduct these investigations and to go ahead and take people like Manish Sisodia or people who are under investigation in their custody. So it's going to be an uphill battle. There doesn't seem to be any relief on the horizon for Manish Sisodia, at least for now, because even if CBI, in the CBI case, he is granted bail, it will be a difficult battle for him to get bail in the PMLA case. Having said that, this is the process that he has to go through. Eventually, we'll have to see how early the ED is going to move the court, asking for his custody, and exactly what the court allows as to whether or not to even allow for the custody to be taken by the ED or not.
All right, huge setback there for the Aam Aadmi Party. For sure, Manish Sisodia may have imagined that his bail plea would be heard sooner, but even the Supreme Court, he reached the top court for it. Supreme Court refused to intervene. And in the meanwhile, while the hearing was scheduled for Friday for his bail, it appears now the Rouse Avenue Court has already granted him 14-day judicial custody. He will be lodged in Tihar Jail for the next 14 days, which means until the 20th of March. Aam Aadmi Party workers, of course, there may be agitated. Let me cut across to Pankaj Jain. Pankaj, what is the commotion right there? You're at the Aam Aadmi Party's office.
नबीला, देखिए यहाँ पे सुरक्षा के वही इंतज़ाम है जो हमेशा मनीष सिसोदिया की कोर्ट में पेशी के दौरान होते हैं। हम आपको ये विजुअल्स दिखाते हैं। यहाँ पे जो पैरा मिलिट्री फोर्स है उसको डिप्लॉय किया गया है और जिस तरीके से पूरे इलाके को बैरिकेड्स लगाकर रोक लिया गया है, कहीं ना कहीं ऐसा लग रहा है कि जब तक मनीष सिसोदिया कोर्ट से निकलकर सीबीआई दफ्तर नहीं पहुंच जाते, ये हालात इसी तरह के रहने वाले हैं। पुलिस के तमाम जो सीनियर अधिकारी हैं वो यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं और साथ ही साथ ये जो तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं पिछले करीब आधे एक घंटे से इसी तरह से यहाँ पे हालात हैं। डीडीयू मार्ग नबीला इसे कहा जाता है और आपको हम सामने तस्वीरें दिखाते हैं कि आम आदमी पार्टी दफ्तर जो है सामने आपको नज़र आ जाएगा। यहाँ पे हालांकि आज कोई आम आदमी पार्टी वर्कर या फिर सपोर्टर्स की भीड़ नहीं आई है। यहाँ पे आम आदमी पार्टी के जो नेता है वो भी मौजूद नहीं है। आज शांति है, लेकिन इसके बावजूद एहतियात के लिए चारों तरफ आप देखें तो आपको यहाँ नज़र आएगा जो रास्ते हैं उन्हें बैरिकेड लगा के बंद कर दिया गया है। यहाँ पे बैरिकेड लगा हुआ है, फिर आपकी नज़र यहाँ जाएगी, यहाँ पे वाटर कैनन की गाड़ियाँ हैं और आपको सामने यहाँ नज़र आ जाएगा जो राउज एवेन्यू कोर्ट है वो इस पेड़ के ठीक पीछे जो बिल्डिंग आपको नज़र आ रही है वो राउज एवेन्यू कोर्ट है। तो जाहिर है कि एहतियातन यहाँ पे तमाम इंतज़ाम किए गए हैं और कोशिश यही है दिल्ली पुलिस की फोर्स की कि किसी भी तरह के अगर प्रदर्शनकारी तुरंत आ जाते हैं तो उनको रोका जाए। सामने ये जो आप रास्ता देख रहे हैं दिल्ली पुलिस की, यहाँ पे गाड़ी आप देख रहे हैं, बैरिकेड्स यहाँ पे लगे हुए हैं। इसके ज़रिए राउस एवेन्यू कोर्ट की तरफ ये जो रास्ता जा रहा है इसे पूरी तरह से ब्लॉक कर दिया गया है। तो जाहिर है कि आम आदमी पार्टी ने जिस तरह से पिछली दो पेशियों के दौरान लगातार प्रोटेस्ट किया था, बैरिकेड्स के ऊपर आम आदमी पार्टी के नेता चढ़ गए थे और वो विरोध प्रदर्शन कर रहे थे, उस तरह के हालात ना बने इसलिए सुरक्षा के इंतज़ाम यहाँ पे किए गए हैं। क्योंकि कोर्ट में जो प्रोसीडिंग्स चल रही थी वो अब ख़त्म हो चुकी हैं और भीतर अभी भी मनीष सिसोदिया मौजूद हैं और जैसे ही वो वहाँ से बाहर निकलेंगे हो सकता है कि उसके बाद यहाँ पे रास्ता खोल दिया जाए और ये फोर्स हटा दी जाए। लेकिन सभी इंतज़ाम यहाँ पर पुख्ता किए गए हैं जैसे कि हमने पहले दिन देखा था। और साथ ही साथ ये आप देखिए तस्वीरों के ज़रिए आम आदमी पार्टी दफ्तर जो है उसके बाहर सन्नाटा है और यहाँ पिन ड्रॉप साइलेंट एक तरह से कह सकते हैं।
आम आदमी पार्टी ने कोई प्रोटेस्ट शेड्यूल किया है? पंकज, इफ यू कैन टेल मी, हैज देयर बीन एनी शेड्यूल और अ डिसीजन टू शेड्यूल अ प्रोटेस्ट पोस्ट द वर्डिक्ट टुडे? कोई ऐसा कुछ शेड्यूल हुआ है कि वो सड़कों पे उतरेंगे अब?
नबीला देखिए, अभी कोई प्रोटेस्ट नहीं है, अभी किसी भी तरह का कोई प्रोटेस्ट आम आदमी पार्टी ने नहीं बुलाया है, क्योंकि अगर प्रोटेस्ट बुलाया होता तो यहाँ पे समर्थक पहुँच चुके होते। अभी भी आम आदमी पार्टी की जो लीगल टीम है उन्हें पता था कि कोर्ट के अंदर क्या होना है, वो अपनी तरफ से पक्ष रखते, सीबीआई अपने तरफ से पक्ष रखती, और इस हालात की उम्मीद उन्हें थी, क्योंकि पिछला जिस तरह से सत्येंद्र जैन का अनुभव रहा है, कहीं ना कहीं अब आम आदमी पार्टी ये समझ चुकी है कि किस तरीके से कोर्ट के जरिए ही राहत का रास्ता निकल सकता है। लेकिन आम आदमी पार्टी ने ये जरूर कहा था कि आने वाले दिनों में वो आंदोलन करेगी, प्रदर्शन करेगी, लेकिन आज की ये जो विजुअल्स हैं, ये जो पिक्चर्स आप देख रहे हैं,
अभी के लिए सिक्योरिटी डिप्लॉय हुआ है। ऑफ कोर्स दे आर एंटिसिपेटिंग सम काइंड ऑफ कमोशन एंड द दिल्ली पुलिस राइट नाउ नॉट लीविंग anything to chance to ensure that there is law and order maintained even if a protest breaks out. That's the Aam Aadmi Party office right outside the headquarters. Huge deployment in place as Manish Sisodia, Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, has been sent to 14-day judicial custody. He will be lodged in Tihar Jail until the 20th of March. Cutting across to Manish on that. Manish, we believe that the opposition parties collectively, including that of course the Aam Aadmi Party netas, Mamata Banerjee's party, you have the DMK also jumping in, JDS from Karnataka, the BRS of Telangana, who have signed a letter and shot it to the Prime Minister, claiming that central agencies are being used to suppress opposition leaders. This is what's happened. Any response to that letter? Tell us a little more about that.
There has been no response about the letter which was written by most of the opposition leaders to the center, to the government. Now, most of the opposition leaders, not in recent but even from last few years, they have been alleging that there is a misuse by the government, by the BJP government, by the Bharatiya Janata Party against those leaders who are in opposition. We have seen the action in Karnataka, we have seen the action in Maharashtra, we have seen the action in Delhi and many other parts of the country. But what the agencies maintain that there is nothing political about these cases. When someone has done corruption, there is a willingness from the government to make sure that there is no corruption, and someone has done the corruption, then there should be action against them by the central agencies, that is CBI, ED and income tax, and that is why such actions are taking place. Even in recent, we saw that several leaders wrote this letter to the government saying that there is a misuse of CBI and enforcement directorate against the opposition leaders. But so far, government has not reacted to that letter. But many BJP leaders have
We have
come out.
Somnath Bharati's reaction on this. Let's cut across.
में जुडिशियल रिमांड में यानी जेल 20 तारीख तक जज साहब ने कहा है। वैसे 10 तारीख को हम बेल को आर्गूमेंट करेंगे। आज मनीष जी ने जो मांगे कोर्ट में रखी वो सारी मान ली गई, क्योंकि उनकी दिली इच्छा थी कि जेल का समय विपश्यना में गुजारा जाए। तो विपश्यना सेल की जो उनकी मांग थी, माननीय न्यायालय ने उसको मंजूर कर लिया। उनकी एक मांग थी कि श्रीमद् भगवत गीता उनको दी जाए, वो भी मान ली गई। डायरी और पेन की मांग थी, चश्मे की मांग थी, वो भी मान ली गई। तो ये जो विपश्यना की जो मुख्य मांग की विपश्यना सेल में उन्हें मिल जाए इजाज़त हो जाए, तो वो बहुत माननीय न्यायालय ने मांग लिया। आज कोर्ट के अंदर एक अजीब सी स्थिति, क्योंकि सीबीआई के वकील कह रहे थे कि जी जो कर रहे हैं वो आप ही कहने पे कर रहे हैं और बदनामी हमारी हो रही है। बड़ा हास्यास्पद रहा, लेकिन सीबीआई को इस बात का एहसास हो गया है कि किस प्रकार से वो राजनीतिक दबाव में गलत काम कर रहे हैं। आज खुल्लम खुल्ला कोर्ट के अंदर सीबीआई के वकील ने कहा कि जी जो कुछ भी हमने 5 दिन का रिमांड पे भेजा, 2 दिन का रिमांड पे भेजा, कोर्ट कहने से भेजा, लेकिन बदनामी हमारी हो रही है। लोग कह रहे हैं कि सीबीआई गलत कर रही है। तो सच को कब तक छुपाओगे? ये सीबीआई को मालूम पड़ गया कि जी इनके साथ अन्याय हो रहा है। बड़ा शुभ हुआ। ऐसा समय हिंदुस्तान में देखने को मिल रहा है सबको कि उस व्यक्ति ने, जिसने कि शिक्षा के माध्यम से लाखों करोड़ों बच्चों के भविष्य को सुधारने का काम किया, उसके साथ इस प्रकार से ज्यादती हो रही है। लेकिन समय समय की बात है, बहुत जल्द मनीष जी वापस आ जाएंगे।
That's Somnath Bharti, who's the Aam Aadmi Party leader and a senior advocate there, present in the Rouse Avenue court, coming out to claim that Manish Sisodia at this point has made some requests in court, and that includes he wanted a Bhagavad Gita, he wanted a pen, a diary to keep him busy inside Tihar Jail for the next 14 days, and all of that has been granted by court. Also there, speaking of how the CBI is really trying to falsely implicate Manish Sisodia. He of course mentioned that right while he completed his statement. Now, while Manish Sisodia has been granted 14-day judicial custody and sent to Tihar Jail, we believe there are some requests that he's made. He's asked for a Vipassana cell. Let me ask Munish Pandey on that. Munish, what does this mean on Sisodia seeking for a Vipassana cell there inside Tihar?
Yeah, well, there is a Vipassana cell inside the Tihar Jail, and there was a request which was made by Manish Sisodia's lawyer that he should be lodged in the Vipassana cell of Tihar Jail. But the judge has said that let the jail superintendent take that call. I will ask the jail superintendent to consider your request of lodging you in the Vipassana cell, but end of the day it will be up to the jail authorities where he should be lodged. We have been given to understand is that there is a high level meeting going on inside the Tihar Jail between the jail officials, because Manish Sisodia is a high profile person. He is someone who was Deputy Chief Minister of National Capital. So because he is a high profile person, the jail superintendent will take a call where he should be lodged, and that is why high level meeting is also taking place inside the Tihar prison. Apart from that, there is also another former minister, Satyendra Jain, already inside the jail. So the jail officials have to make sure that both these prisoners, both these persons, Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia, doesn't meet face to face. We saw in case of Satyendra Jain also there were CCTV images showing that
showing him get a massage. He had all the VIP treatment inside that cell. Absolutely, and that's precisely my question to you. How are the jail authorities there going to ensure that Manish Sisodia is not going to be given preferential treatment? He is a Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, a way higher profile that he holds to in compared to Satyendra Jain.
Absolutely, Nabila, and that is why there were several officials inside the Tihar prison who were then transferred by the government because of that CCTV images showing that Satyendra Jain was getting VIP treatment. So far, I spoke to several officials of Tihar prison. What they are claiming that Manish Sisodia will be treated like any other prisoner, considering his age and the health condition. Certain things, if the court gives the direction, we will provide those things to Manish Sisodia. As of now, there is no final decision whether Manish Sisodia will be lodged in the Vipassana cell of Tihar Jail or not. But certainly they are considering, because the court has also said that I'll ask the jail superintendent to consider this request of Manish Sisodia. As far as the next few days are going to be concerned, Nabila, next few days are extremely important. First, the Enforcement Directorate is in all possibility they will be arresting Manish Sisodia. That will be before 10th of March. Second, the only chance Manish Sisodia has to get any relief is the bail application, which will be heard by the court on 10th of March. If by then ED has not taken custody, then there is a possibility that in the CBI case, Manish Sisodia might get bail in that case and he may walk out, but the possibility is very limited. And so far, the judicial custody is concerned. Remember, if none of these things happen, he has to be in Tihar prison till March 20th. And again, the agencies are going to oppose his bail application, saying that they have enough evidence against Manish Sisodia, and already they told the court that there are witnesses who are terrified because Manish Sisodia is a very high-profile, powerful person.
Right. Manish, stay with us. That's the top development that, as you just said, here's information coming in on a high-profile meet or a high-level meet that's currently underway inside the Tihar Jail. Jail officials ensuring that Manish Sisodia, the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, a high-profile person who will be brought inside Tihar Jail, how to ensure that he should not be given preferential treatment. You have Satyendra Jain, another Aam Aadmi Party strongman who's already in Tihar, how to ensure that these two netas don't meet inside prison. All of these details and the nitty-gritties that are going to be dealt with by the Tihar officials now discussed. This is a meeting that's currently underway even as we speak. Nalini, for a little more on the bail and the possibilities of Manish Sisodia winning that. Nalini, looking at the way this case has progressed and the CBI making some really serious claims that Manish Sisodia can very well influence witnesses. He is a high-profile man and he can really suppress those witnesses who we are currently investigating. Will this really act against Manish Sisodia's prospects of getting bail? On the contrary, what is Sisodia's argument to win bail here?
Well, Nabila, we know that Manish Sisodia has already made not one but two attempts before the court of law to try and secure bail for himself. The first time that he was produced before the Rouse Avenue court, he had sought bail on the grounds that his wife was not keeping medically well and needed his help, and which is why he should be released on bail. His lawyers, in fact, at that time had also made out the case that he is not going to, there's no question of him fleeing from investigation or not cooperating with the investigation, considering that he is a highly influential person in the society. And at that time, he was also the sitting Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. Since then, of course, he's also resigned. But even after that, he'd approached the Supreme Court with an urgent plea, trying to get some sort of relief, trying to get bail in this case. But at that time, the Supreme Court had categorically refused to interfere. And they told Manish Sisodia, go back to High Court, follow the due process. And after that, if you're not satisfied or if you don't get an order in your favor, you can always come back to the Supreme Court. But instead of going back to the High Court, what we've realized is that Manish Sisodia's legal team has decided to do things in the proper procedure, in the proper hierarchy. And instead of going back to the Delhi High Court, they've gone back to the trial court itself with this bail application that will now be heard on the 10th of March. So this is Manish Sisodia's third attempt before a court of law to try and get bail for himself. And this is only in the CBI case. Now, even if in the CBI case he manages to get himself bail, then he can only be released as long as he has not been arrested in the PMLA case by the Enforcement Directorate. Similar to what happened with Vijay Nair, who's also another accused in this case. Vijay Nair has secured bail for himself in the CBI case, but continues to be lodged behind the bars because there is still PMLA case by the Enforcement Directorate, the investigation of which is still underway. So in case that happens, there is going to be an uphill battle for Manish Sisodia to try and get any sort of relief. But 10th of March is when that matter is listed for hearing before the special CBI court in Rouse Avenue. Even if the trial court refuses him bail, Manish Sisodia always has an option to appeal before the High Court, asking for a similar application and ultimately come back to the Supreme Court. So it's going to be a long legal process, something that Manish Sisodia will have to watch out for. But at the same time, this is something that he seems to have been mentally prepared for.
Right.
Because if you remember, one of his last statements before being arrested was that he's going away for at least 6 to 8 months and asking his supporters to be prepared for that. So it seems like he's prepared for that. Let's see how this plays out in the next coming few weeks when the matter comes up. And the most important thing to watch out for will be as to whether or not the ED is going to swoop in to take Manish Sisodia into their custody.
Well, it appears that Manish Sisodia was very well prepared. Like you rightly said, he did expect that he will be going into prison. He said it time and again while he was part of several protests before the arrest that he is being falsely implicated, etc., etc. So people should be prepared if he goes into prison for the long haul. This was Manish Sisodia's attitude even when the CBI obtained his custody for 7 days. That CBI custody is now ended. He now is sent to 14-day judicial custody. He will be in Tihar Jail. This is, of course, right at a time when the CBI has said that Manish Sisodia is very capable of terrifying witnesses. This is precisely the words being used by the CBI, saying that he is capable of terrifying witnesses. And this entire case by the Aam Aadmi Party is being given deliberately a political color, while it's not. It's a clear case of corruption. We want to investigate him. His conduct has not been proper, and therefore he should be in custody. The CBI custody is ended right now. He's now been sent to judicial custody. Nalini, please do elaborate for us. Was this due process anyway? CBI's custody ended. They did not seek for further custody or an extension of CBI custody, and therefore the court now promptly has sent him to judicial custody for 14 days. Could this have been contested by Sisodia's counsel?
Well, at this stage, Nabila, it doesn't seem like it could have been contested by Manish Sisodia's counsel. One, because CBI did not ask for any further custody themselves in the first place. Even though there are still 7 days of custody, police custody is still remaining, that the CBI is entitled to seek at this stage, because it's an ongoing investigation, they don't want to go ahead and exhaust the entire police custody, which is why right now at this stage they've said that they have no problem if Manish Sisodia is sent to judicial custody. If the police has not sought the police custody in this case, and if his bail plea is still not coming up for hearing, which is only scheduled for the 10th of March, like the trial court had decided on the last date when they issued a notice to the CBI, and it specifically asked the CBI to go ahead and file their response by the 10th of March. So keeping this in mind, the court has to mandatorily send Manish Sisodia right now before the Tihar Jail or in judicial custody. This essentially means that Manish Sisodia is going to continue being lodged in the custody of the court as against custody of the CBI. And if the CBI has any questions that they want to ask him during this time, then they need to approach the court and seek his custody first. Same procedure has to be followed by the Enforcement Directorate. If the Enforcement Directorate wants to go ahead and take Manish Sisodia into custody, they will have to approach the court with an application saying that they want to take him into custody. They will also have to cite reasons as to why exactly do they want Manish Sisodia in custody. What is it?
Right.
At what stage the investigation is, for which his custodial interrogation is required, and only when such rounds are justified will the court go ahead and allow such an application in the first place.
From what the live visuals that we see, one should know that these are visuals that's come in right from inside the court hall, the Rouse Avenue court, where Manish Sisodia was presented. In just a few moments, the court granted him to 14 days judicial custody. But largely, we saw Manish Sisodia absolutely defiant, smiling, calm, if anything, happy. Shrishti Oja, who's right there outside the Rouse Avenue court. Shrishti, would you tell us, Manish Sisodia there, waving at the crowds, smiling, almost beaming, as if he's not guilty of any crime here. Of course, the investigation is underway. We are not certain whether or not Manish Sisodia is guilty, but even before the investigation completes, Manish Sisodia putting up a very confident face before the cameras.
Well, yes, definitely, Nabila. This is the third time that Manish Sisodia was produced before the special CBI judge today at the Rouse Avenue court, and we saw him when he was confronted by the media persons. Even though we did not hear any response to any of the questions that were put by the reporters, we definitely saw him wave and smile at the camera right before entering into the court. As we know, he has been sent to judicial custody now, and we don't see trouble getting less for Sisodia anytime soon. The only possibility of relief at this point for Manish Sisodia is the bail plea in this particular case that will be heard on 10th of March. As we know, the CBI is yet to file a reply. They're likely to obviously oppose the bail plea that Manish Sisodia has filed before the court. One important thing, an interesting thing that's happened today before the court is that they've already contested, they've already argued before the court, CBI. They've said that the witnesses are being influenced. There's a possibility of the witnesses being influenced, and not just a possibility. They have in fact said that witnesses have expressed an apprehension, and witnesses are terrified. So that is an important ground that usually investigating agencies use.
Stay with us. I'm coming across to Aap. Saurabh Bharadwaj speaking on the same.
या उनको जुडिशियल कस्टडी में भेजा जाएगा, और मनीष जी के लिए बेस्ट ऑप्शन यही था कि जो सीबीआई की जो कस्टडी है वो ख़त्म हो जाए और जुडिशियल कस्टडी जो है वो बढ़ जाए, क्योंकि जब तक बेल डिसाइड नहीं होती है तब तक कोर्ट के पास और कोई ऑप्शन नहीं होता है, बल्कि जुडिशियली कस्टडी को जो है एक्सटेंड करने के अलावा। तो मुझे लगता है कि आज सीबीआई के पास ऐसा कोई सवाल नहीं था जिसके लिए वो कह सके कि हमें इन सवालों का जवाब जो है लेने के लिए मनीष जी की इंटरोगेशन चाहिए। पिछली बार भी जब 2 दिन की पुलिस कस्टडी बढ़ी है, वो भी बहुत मुश्किल से जो है कोर्ट ने बढ़ाई है, क्योंकि सीबीआई के पास ऐसे कोई आधार नहीं थे जिसके ऊपर इंटरोगेशन जो है कोर्ट ग्रांट कर सके। तो हम इस फैसले का स्वागत करते हैं। मुझे लगता है कि ये सबसे बेस्ट सिनेरियो आज की जो आज की हियरिंग थी उसके अंदर ये बेस्ट के सिनेरियो जो था मनीष जी के लिए था। और कोर्ट में उन्होंने गीता की मांग करी, एक डायरी और पेन की मांग करी, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि मनीष जी काफ़ी लिखते रहे हैं और उनके विचार पहले भी किताब के रूप में शिक्षा के नाम से जो है सबके सामने आए हैं। तो जाहिर सी बात है, मुझे लगता है कि एक बुद्धिजीवी होने के नाते जो है वो कुछ लिखना चाहेंगे और उन्होंने मेडिटेशन की जो है इजाज़त मांगी है, क्योंकि विपासना मनीष जी हमेशा से करते आए हैं। तो कोर्ट के अंदर भी जो है, जो जेल के अंदर जो है अपने समय में विपासना करना चाहेंगे।
तो अब आप लोग इंतजार करेंगे 10 मार्च का, जब बेल पिटीशन की सुनवाई
जी 10 तारीख को जो है वो बेल की सुनवाई होगी और जो है उसके बाद जो है तय होगा कि कोर्ट जो है उनको बेल देता है या जुडिशियल कस्टडी एक्सटेंड करता है।
अभी हम जो देख रहे हैं, बीते लगातार 2 बार जब भी मनीष सिसोदिया को यहाँ पेश किया गया, आम आदमी पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता आप लोग सड़क पर उतरे, अपना एक तरह से विरोध प्रदर्शन किया, लेकिन आज पुलिस के बंदोबस्त तो पूरे हैं, लेकिन आम आदमी पार्टी का कोई सामने नहीं आया तो विरोध प्रदर्शन के लिए।
नहीं, कोई विरोध नहीं है और पुलिस को बंदोबस्त करना चाहिए, पुलिस को हमेशा दुरुस्त रहना भी चाहिए। इनका काम है सुरक्षा व्यवस्था जो है ठीक रहे और हमारी तरफ से जो है जो भी लीगल बैटल है उसके अंदर आम आदमी पार्टी अपनी कार्रवाई कर रही है।
All right, there you have Saurabh Bhardwaj. Of course, one should know that he's been given some of the ministries that Manish Sisodia was handling. At this point, we don't see any rage coming from the Aam Aadmi Party netas. They've almost accepted the situation, it appears, and have spoken about what happened in court, about Manish Sisodia requesting for a few things, including a pen, a paper, a Bhagavad Gita, and a Vipassana cell. The court, of course, granting most of it. The Vipassana cell will be decided by, of course, Tihar Jail officials. That's what has been told to him. But here we see that Manish Sisodia right now will be taken to Tihar Jail, will be spending at least 14 days in Tihar Jail until the 20th of March. On the 10th, though, Manish Sisodia's bail plea will be discussed in a trial court. Will that really give him relief or not? That has to be seen. We've got to wait and watch for that. But for now, we see a defiant Manish Sisodia stepping out of the court hall, waving at the crowds there who have gathered in large numbers. I'm going to cut across to Ashutosh, though, our correspondent tracking those developments. Ashutosh, who are you with? Tell us a little more on what response has come in right after the court's verdict.
Well, Nabila, there was huge legal force by the Aam Aadmi Party and by Manish Sisodia who were present inside the court. B.S. Jun Saab, there was argument given by the CBI. There could be a threat to even the witnesses and he's not being cooperative. The conduct has not been good and there could be further interrogation may be required, and that could be one reason we are seeing that Manish Sisodia has been sent to the judicial custody.
There are two things. Number one, threat to witness. The judge himself clarified whether you have mentioned in your application or not. There was no mention of any sort that any witness has been threatened or there is any threat to any witness. Number two, so far as 14 days, first 40 days after arrest are concerned, the judicial remand and police remand are interchangeable. They have a right. They can seek further remand if they want in next 7 days. Secondly, today there was a complete frustration on the part of CBI. They alleged that media is planting stories from their side as well on behalf of the supporters of the Aam Aadmi Party that the CBI is doing totally illegal investigation. There is nothing against Manish Sisodia. Now, till tomorrow they were saying, yesterday they were saying that the Manish Sisodia is not cooperating. Today they expect from the media as well as from the MLAs or the supporters of the Aam Aadmi Party that we should toe the line of the CBI. That they want, which is not possible. Media, you cannot stop media from reporting the matter to the case, and you cannot stop the supporters. And we, as a lawyer or as a MLA, we have a right to say that the investigation is not fair, not impartial,
but
and totally illegal.
But there is another side, sir. That seems to be the situation may not be really so easy for Mr. Manish Sisodia. Looking at the previous precedents, that ED and the PMLA sections yet to come over when he's arrested by the ED, particularly being in judicial custody, that could really mount a real trouble for Mr. Former Deputy Chief Minister.
This is all in anticipation. So far there is no such apprehension that ED coming or any other agency is coming. Even today there was no mention in the CBI application for seeking judicial remand that any other agency wants to investigate or interrogate him. So at this stage we cannot say if any other extra agency would come or not.
Mr. Madan Lal, besides this legal fight in the courtrooms, we are also seeing the political optics, and perhaps Aam Aadmi Party has taken it to another level every day against the CBI, against the centre government, and as well as the BJP. So do you think there going to be more escalation politically from the Aam Aadmi Party?
Definitely, until BJP stops doing this kind of pressure tactics, one has to understand that Manish Sisodia has falsely been implicated in this case. Till today, no recovery has been affected, either documentary or monetary, nothing has been recovered. His house was searched, his native place was searched, his house and office in Delhi were searched. Nothing could be found out by the CBI. During this period, when he was in police custody, CBI didn't come with anything which they could say that yes, we have recovered some incriminating documents or money to prove that he is involved in this.
But have you any anticipation that he would probably now be arrested by the enforcement director?
Definitely not, because PMLA only attracts when some money is involved in it. Here you see no documentary evidence, nothing has been recovered. Even CBI did not tell the judge that yes, we have recovered something. So until that is there, I don't think, and I think that he'll be set free on 10th.
So that's the one aspect. The Aam Aadmi Party anticipates that 10th of March there will be hearing on the bail application of Mr. Sisodia. But at the same time, you're saying the legal battle in the courtroom and outside a political war. And of course, this will escalate further. And if there is more and more action, as it is anticipated, that probably PMLA sections would come in place and the enforcement directorate may take Mr. Sisodia's custody, we will see more escalative battle, political battle from the Aam Aadmi Party camp. Nabila.
Well, we don't see any kind of commotion coming from the Aam Aadmi Party offices yet. So this all the more signifies that the AAP may have accepted the due process of law. This is what was supposed to happen after CBI custody. He was supposed to be sent to judicial custody, and that's what's happened here. Aam Aadmi Party netas for now seem to be calm. Will they hold a scheduled protest in the days going forward remains to be seen, but the bail application for now is scheduled on the 10th. Again, our court experts tell us that a lot of arguments will be made by the CBI on ensuring that Sisodia should not be getting bail because they claim he's so powerful, he could influence witnesses. India Today, on top of that story, you could log on to indiatoday.in for more on that. For now, it's a wrap on this edition of the Bulletin. We'll be back with the top headlines.
All successful people worked hard, nothing comes easily.
Sometimes you need to just cross that mental barrier.
काफी प्रोसेस ओरिएंटेड मैं जब दोनों मेडल को ले रहा था और मैं बोल रहा था कि दो ही है हमारे पास मेडल है इंडिया में और दोनों आज मेरे हाथ में है.
The very fact that you're opening the India Today conclave with a session on Olympic sport tells me that we've made progress.
the catchphrase, sir, which we've noticed here at MWC and all around the world since November, I think, the last time that we met, has been generative artificial intelligence. Generative AI, ChatGPT being spoken about all over the world. How much of an impact do you think that will have on the workflow on the tech side, on exactly how a tech company operates, on how our jobs will pan out in the next few months?
I am so happy about the generative AI. The reason I'm happy is it's the same way, because we are in Mobile World Congress. I'll give you an example that 95, 96, if you remember, India was one of the most highest cost per minute call, and incoming and outgoing both charge 16 rupees a minute. And those blind calls, call me back. I was from that upbringing, and I land in Hong Kong airport. There was this bank of phones, but people were talking on a mobile phone. And I came back and I said, this is an industry you need to be in. The convenience was 10 steps away. People were talking on mobile phones. So what happened? Mobile phone automated the public phone systems.
Correct.
It automated everything that came along. And I don't have to describe to you whether it's a health tech, fintech, media tech, whatever device it is.
Absolute disruptor.
Now, to me, it did not take away jobs, it created jobs. Now, this is exactly what I think about generative AI. That the use cases are there, and the more they get defined, that means more jobs it will create. Technology is the heart of everything.
Watching India Today.
Very good afternoon and thanks so much for being with us here on India Today. I'm Chaiti Narula joining you with all the top stories. Let's begin with the headlines first. Manish Sisodia sent to 14-day judicial custody to remain in jail till 20th of March. CBI says witnesses are being targeted and intimidated. Rahul sends democracy SOS to US and EU, says democracy is dead and US and EU are oblivious. BJP lashes out, says Rahul is hiding his failures. Karnataka BJP chief Nalin Katil takes an infertile jibe at Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, says Rahul not getting married because he's impotent. Another encounter in Umesh Pal murder case. Cops kill main shooter in Umesh Pal murder, Vijay Kumar, also known as Usman, in an encounter. CBI grills Rabri Devi at her residence in Patna inland for job scam. Lalu, Rabri Devi and daughter Misa to appear before court on 15th of March. Amitabh Bachchan injured during a film shoot in Hyderabad, suffers a muscle tear and a broken rib cage. Flown back home, but he's out of danger. And Karnataka and Telangana are in a war out to fox each other out over setting up iPhone manufacturing plant. Two meetings of the Foxconn chairman with the two chief ministers has set off a big political war now. First, Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai claimed that Foxconn will be making major investment in the state. He said that it would create 1 lakh jobs and even declared that 300 acres of land had been allocated for the same. A day before, on 2nd of March, Foxconn chairman met Telangana Chief Minister Nissan KTR. The Telangana government too declared that Foxconn had announced setting up a plant in Hyderabad. The Telangana Chief Minister's office, in fact, has now released a letter where Foxconn chairman says that he is committed to setting up a manufacturing facility in Kungara, Kalan.
While Telangana is claiming this letter as a victory for the state, there's a big suspense on where exactly the Foxconn facility will really go. Foxconn is a major assembler of Apple iPhones.
He has discussed with the higher-ups of Foxconn. They have shown keen interest, and they have, in fact, we have identified 300 acres of land in Devanali itself. So it is in a very advanced stage. It is almost signed. It is in that scenario, our Honorable CM must have said it. Foxconn, I am sure, they will invest in Bangalore, that is Devanali.
This announcement has been made to just gather some attention of the people and trying to show that he is doing a very good job. This is another Jumla, which was immediately revealed by the Foxconn. Such kind of cheap tactics is unnecessary. When it comes through, automatically it will come through in a proper process. But just to fool the people, the Chief Minister made a statement that Apple is coming, they're going to manufacture, more than 1 lakh jobs are going to be generated, so many thousands of crores are going to be invested, as if he's the person behind this whole thing and trying to take credit for something which he doesn't even deserve credit for.
So where is the Foxconn plant going to be? That's a big question. Questions arising on why can't Foxconn issue a statement deciding which state they're going to go with and end the suspense once and for all. But at the moment, till they don't end the suspense, Karnataka versus Telangana on Foxconn trying to fox each other out over setting up the iPhone manufacturing plant. Foxconn is a major assembler of iPhones in India. The two meetings happened. Foxconn chairman with the Chief Minister of Karnataka and with Telangana both, and that is now set up a big political war because both the Chief Ministers think Foxconn is coming there to their state to set up the manufacturing plant, but the real answer lies with Foxconn. Who has Foxconn gone with? KCR, of course, is flaunting this particular letter as well. Karnataka Chief Minister Bommai also is claiming that they are going to be making major investment in the state. That is, Foxconn will be making major investment in the state, saying that they would end up creating 1 lakh jobs, even declare that 300 acres of land had been allocated for Foxconn. In fact, Foxconn chairman even had met Telangana Chief Minister and his son KTR, and even that government declared they're setting up a plant in Hyderabad. The Telangana Chief Minister's office, in fact, has also released a letter to this effect. Now, Sagai Raj is joining us for the very latest details. Sagai, it's very simple. Foxconn should just issue a statement and put an end to this once and for all and declare which state they are going with, because until they do that, both the states are going to keep fighting against each other unless and until Foxconn is trying to play ball here with both the states.
Absolutely, and if you notice, there are press releases which has been shared by both the governments. In fact, BJP government in state of Karnataka have shared a press release where they are going ahead with the project Elephant, where there was also